It's time to color stop. Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. I realize it's been a long time since I've done another edition to the 5 Best 5 Worst series. Ever since I started doing this series, I knew I wanted to do Colourpop, but because Colourpop has 16 million SKUs, it was hard to pick out a 5 Best and 5 Worst. So I didn't.
Oh, this is insanely embarrassing.
It was hard to pick out only 5 for both categories, so it's about 8 Best and 6 Worst. But for the sake of cohesion in this series, we're still going to call it 5 Best, 5 Worst. Just think of those extra products in here as a bonus. I've already done 5 Best, 5 Worst for Anastasia Beverly Hills and Fenty Beauty. This series was inspired by Jamie Page, and I'm having so much fun doing these videos. Please let me know down in the comments what brand you would like to see next. I am, of course, limited because some brands I haven't tried 10 products from them where I can pick out a 5 Best and 5 Worst, but there are a lot of brands where I have tried a lot of things from their lines. So give me input on what to do next because I've been planning out the Colourpop one for so long that I haven't really thought about any other brands. Colourpop is a brand that I feel really markets to my age demographic and speaks to me a lot. They do come out with way too many things, but I feel like a lot of the time that does give me a lot to choose from, and as a result I found a lot of things from Colourpop I really enjoy. For the most part, I find their quality to be really amazing for the price, but of course with the sheer amount of products that they release, there are going to be a few duds. Before we start, I do want to say I have a code with Colourpop. It's not an affiliate code, so I don't make money off of it. It's 5 Julia C Mazzucato. I don't make money with that code, but if you guys want to use it, it does show Colourpop hey, we enjoy Julia's content, so in that way it does help me out. And also Colourpop codes are pretty rare, so if you guys want to use that one, feel free to, but I don't care if you do or don't. Starting off with the best because we want to be positive for at least 5 minutes before it all goes downhill. One of my favorite product lines that Colourpop offers are their Super Shock shadows, and I've kind of gone on a love-hate, back-to-love relationship with these. I first started purchasing from Colourpop, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago when I was first getting into makeup. They were a lot smaller back then. Definitely a lot fewer products, but I feel like they were very popular amongst the teen sphere because of their affordability and because of the fun colors that they offered. They didn't actually offer palettes back then, so Super Shock shadows and their singles were pretty much the only way to try out Colourpop eyeshadows. I bought a ton of Super Shocks that I never ended up using, so I think from there I convinced myself
oh, I don't really like Super Shocks.
Enter around last year when I started dabbling back into the colors that they offered. A lot of really fun duochrome shadows, and I decided to try out the formula again. I forgot how genuinely lovely this formula is, especially for the shimmers. I don't love the matte Super Shocks, but the shimmers and the duochromes, beautiful. Obviously, I'm the ringleader of a cult surrounding the worship of Colourpop Ritz. This is by far my favorite Super Shock. It's a beautiful clear base with a little bit of a silver glitter running throughout, so it just looks purely beautiful and wet on the eyes. With any of the products I mentioned in this video, I will try and flash a look on screen where I'm wearing the products. Ritz is by far my favorite. I've gotten so many people hooked on this one. It's the most beautiful glittery eye topper. It has such a nice bouncy texture, so a lot of dimethicone in there, so it glides onto the eyes, but because it's more of a powder than a cream, it doesn't crease up and it's not incredibly hard to work with like a cream shadow would be. So this just gives me the glossy eye look of my dreams without the mess of a gloss itself. If you want similar vibes, the Mighty Morphin shadow from the Butterfly collection. This one is kind of like Ritz. It has a more clear base, but a little bit more of a champagne gold shade to it, whereas Ritz is a little bit more clear with a little bit more silver. I love both of them. I would say is a close second place runner-up. Prettiest rose gold I've ever seen in my life is the shade here called Weenie. This is very metallic, but it's so incredibly beautiful. Again, I love the Super Shock texture. This is more of a metallic shade, whereas these two I would say are more glittery toppers. I do love my neutral Super Shocks, but one of my favorite colorful shades from them is the shade Slave to Pink. This is a Super Shock pigment, so it's a lot brighter of a formulation. Bright hot pink with a duochrome flip running throughout, and it's just absolute insanity. I try and not get lured into buying makeup products off of Instagram pictures I see, but the promo pictures of the looks using this Super Shock just convinced me that I needed it. I love this one with a pink in the crease and then this washed all over the lid for a monochromatic pink look. So stunning. I do not fully believe in the conspiracy theory that Kylie Cosmetics and Colourpop's lip products are the exact same. I've tried plenty of the Colourpop Ultra Matte lips as well as the Kylie Cosmetics liquid lips, and I definitely think that their current formulas are not the same at all. I think Colourpop's are a little bit thinner, Kylie's are a little bit more moussier and whipped. Both of them I do enjoy as formulas independently, but I don't think that they're the same.
However,
I think the Colourpop lip liners and the Kylie lip liners are the exact same. Right down to the packaging, the formula itself, they're basically dead on for each other. There's a almost double price difference. I like my lip liners to be the perfect mix of a creamy, more slippy lip liner, but I also don't want them to be so soft that they just make a mess and go everywhere. So for example, I have a bunch of like these wooden lip liners, but I don't like when lip liners are super stiff. The Colourpop ones I really enjoy because they have a little bit more slip to them. They are definitely a softer formula, which allows them to blend out a little bit easier. I like to diffuse my lip liner a little bit more, so I still have that nice defined lip, but it's not like super harsh. So the Colourpop lip liners are the perfect texture for me because they can still blend out and give you that nice defined but not too defined lip line, if that makes sense. Whereas other lip liners I feel like just don't blend out quite as easily. They smudge everywhere. Colourpop lip liners, and by extension Kylie lip liners, have got the formula down pat for me. So these I really enjoy. They're pretty much interchangeable for me. As far as quality consistency goes, I think Colourpop's eyeshadow palettes are one of the most reliable products in the line, especially for a brand that releases so many different eyeshadow palettes, but I think the formula is usually the same in every Colourpop palette. I love the monochromatic palette collections. I think that the yellow and the purple are the best ones. Honey are the best yellows I have in my collection. It's a really solid formula. I love the mattes in here, and the shimmers are beautiful. Not in love with the pressed glitter, but it is what it is. And then It's My Pleasure if you want like some of the best purples I've ever tried. These are excellent. This one is a little bit more shimmer heavy though. You only have 3 true mattes in here, so that is something to take into account, but it's another one of my favorite palettes. The palette I'm wearing on my eyes right now is a Sweet Talk palette. This one I think is a really beautiful example of neutrals that aren't super boring. They're on the more peachy side, but this has some of my favorite shades in here. Again, there are pressed glitters in here, which is not my favorite thing. I just want to see Colourpop stop doing pressed glitters, or at least the non-biodegradable glitters. I would like to see them phase out. And then if you're wanting a more unique and colorful color story, I think the I Love Sadahi palette, Through My Eyes palette, is one of my favorites. Some bright shades in here as well as some grungier tones, so I think there's a good mix of things you can do in here. It's pretty versatile, kind of reminds me of the Jackie Aina palette just a little bit, but without the purples in there. And in terms of formula, I think these are some of my favorite colorful pressed shadows from Colourpop. So these are my 4 favorite Colourpop palettes right now, but generally because of the consistency of their quality, but any Colourpop palette I feel like is going to be really good quality, regardless of the color scheme. Favorite number 4 from them has become a favorite over the past couple months. This is from their Fourth Ray Beauty skincare line. I've tried a lot of things from their skincare line. I would say most of them land in the kind of like 5 to 7 out of 10 like meh range, but I think their serums are the best thing that they offer in their line, particularly the Radiate Vitamin C Elixir Serum. This is such a good vitamin C. I think this rivals the Drunk Elephant one in my opinion. It still has a like nice potent effect of L-ascorbic acid, but the biphase of the oil in there just makes it a lot more gentle on the skin than a just pure L-ascorbic acid like the Drunk Elephant one. So I still see the results, but I don't get the irritation. This product is probably not a surprise to you. It's one of their best sellers, and it's one of my favorite highlighters in my collection. Colourpop Super Shock Cheek in the shade Flexitarian. This is the highlighter I'm currently wearing on my cheekbones right now. It is insanity. It's one of the most blinding highlighters I own by far. While it is very blinding, it doesn't look icy and stark on the cheeks because it has that kind of Super Shock bouncy cream to powder texture where it applies with the ease of powder. You can apply it as you would any other powder highlighter, but because it's more of like a creamy dimethicone texture, it truly does melt into the skin, so it just looks like you have this beaming, really pearlescent glow out of your face, but it's not like powder sitting on top. This will forever be one of my favorite highlighters. Affordable or not, I think this is one of the best quality I own in my collection. I really love almost all of Colourpop's lipstick offerings. Ultra Satin lips are amazing. I like their Ultra Glossy lips as well. Really do like the new Luxe liquid lipsticks as well. But the one that made it into this video are actually something I don't think I talk about a lot, but I do wear very regularly. These are the Luxe lipsticks in the Velvet Blur formula. They have the cream version and the matte version as well, which I don't love as much, but the Velvet Blur, these are just so good. I'm wearing the shade Virgo Moon right now. This is my favorite shade. They're cream lipstick formulas, so they do have that nice like that nice glide on texture. That was such a bad swatch, I'm sorry. And I think Velvet Blur is a really appropriate name for this formula because they're smooth and velvety. They don't have a completely matte dry down, but they're also not like shiny either. Their matte lipsticks are a little bit too heavy and too drying. These have that nice like almost semi-matte finish, but they're the thinnest, most light lipsticks I've ever worn. I think this is probably my favorite bullet lipstick formula I've ever tried. So these I really enjoy. I would definitely recommend Virgo Moon if you want a good, just neutral, kind of pinky, but kind of brownie toned nude. It's just the perfect shade. Favorite number 7 I don't have with me to show you because it's in my dorm. One of my recent favorites from them is the Colourpop Bare Necessities brush roll. I feel like this brush set got really overshadowed by the Bare Necessities palette that came out with it, but those brushes are the best quality brushes I've ever tried from Colourpop, and one of the best quality affordable brush sets I've ever tried. It's one of my favorite brush sets because A, I feel like every single shape of brush in there is something that I would use, and it's brush shape that's usable. Generally, I feel like in most brush sets, there's always like 1 to 2 brushes that I feel like are wasted space because they're a shape I wouldn't use or like nobody would really use. I feel like that brush set really maximizes the amount of brushes you have for the price, and they're all like functional shapes. The hairs are really, really high quality. I've washed them I think 2 or 3 times now by this point. Also, they are very pretty, and the brush mold that they come in is not a super cheap like fake leather packaging. It's faux leather, but it's like a really nice quality one. So I think that's a really beautiful brush set, either as a gift or for yourself if you want some really good affordable brushes. Those are the best ones. And then number 8, the final favorite from Colourpop. This is from their 4th Ray Beauty line once again. It's the Glisten Up Mist. I have a tester size here that I keep at my vanity, and then a full size I keep in my dorm. It's almost borderline for me, so if you don't like very nice dewy skin, you might not like this mist. It does not set down your makeup at all, but it kind of reminds me of the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. I always say Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. It just melts everything down, and it has this really glistening finish, but it's not glittery. It just gives you this like wet looking skin. I did a nice dewy coating of this one right before I started filming. It just gives your skin that like alive look, so when you move you can see the like light reflecting off your face, but it's not aggressively oily, if that makes sense. So I would highly recommend this if you like dewy skin, which I don't know why you're following me if you don't like dewy skin. Okay, when it comes to the worst, there were a few to choose from. I actually don't have all of the products here physically to show you guys because I declutter most things that don't work for me. So anything I don't have, I will flash on screen. Anything I do have, I'll pick it up and show you guys. You know, a makeup video. One of my least favorite things I've tried from them is the Colourpop No Filter Foundation. This looks so bad on my skin. It's actually funny, both this and the No Filter Stick Foundation both do not look good on me. I feel like a lot of people who have dry skin like I do also reflect that sentiment of not liking this one, but I've also seen people with oily skin not liking this foundation, so maybe it's just not a great formula. Either way, this did not react well with my skin. I feel like it just looks very, very, very heavy on my face. It also creases a lot throughout the day. It just does not last well. I would find it breaking up on my forehead, even though I'm not really oily up there. I think it was just breaking up because of how dry it made my skin. But yeah, my memories of wearing this foundation are not fond ones. I actually think I tried to convince myself that I liked it at first. I was like, oh, this is a really good foundation. But over time, I think I was just trying to love it just because it was such an affordable price and from one of my favorite brands. It's just not a good time for me. No, by far, the worst, the number 1 worst product I've tried from them are their gel liners. Especially the white one. This is the shade Exit. It's their cream gel eyeliner in a pot. It's so bad. It is such a bad eyeliner. White eyeliners in general, I haven't found a good one that I've really enjoyed. No color payoff whatsoever. The white line you would get would not be opaque at all. It would be like kind of crackly, very inconsistent, kind of streaky. It's just a very dry, non-glidey eyeliner formula. It tugs on the eyes as well. That's actually a bigger problem with their pencil liners. I feel like these are just really uncomfortable to use because they do tug so much. It looks nice when you swatch it, but when you try and apply it on the eyes, I feel like this tugs really hard and again kind of applies in a streaky format. So that's mostly because I got 2 of the hardest shades to formulate, the white and the yellow, and I don't like spending a lot of money on eyeliner because I don't use it very often, so I figured if I'm gonna get colorful ones, I might as well go for Colourpop because they're affordable, but they're also not good, so. I was really excited when Colourpop came out with the Gimme More pressed highlighter palette. I knew I loved Flexitarian and I knew I loved their cheek products, so I was really assuming that I was gonna love the Gimme More highlighter palette, especially because I was really into Anastasia glow kits at the time, and that was definitely what they were trying to dupe. What can I say about the Gimme More highlighter palette? She's dry, she's chunky, glittery but not in a good way, emphasized every pore and every bit of texture on my cheekbones, which there is quite a bit of. It actually put me off of trying Colourpop pressed powders for a long time. Now I really love their pressed highlighter formula. This is the Champagne Bubbles one from this year. Last year, actually. I also love the Cinderella highlighter from their Disney designer collection. These are a lot less dry and chunky of a formula than the Gimme More highlighter palette. Yeah, that was a big disappointing palette, especially because it was like $18, which was a little bit more expensive for Colourpop at the time. I feel like that's more of a normal price point for them because they have raised their prices. But back then, I was shelling out. I buy a lot of the Colourpop Ultra Satin Lips just because I know I love the formula. Once in a blue moon though, Colourpop will come out with an Ultra Satin Lip, particularly in the lighter nude range, and it's just so bad. I don't know what it is. I can never tell when it's going to be a bad one, but certain shades that they've come out with in the past have been just so wildly different from their regular Ultra Satin Lip formula that it's just noticeable. And sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe it's just me, but then I go onto the reviews and everyone's saying like, this is so bad, it's not like the other Colourpop Ultra Satin Lip. lips. So this has happened to me twice, 2 different lipsticks. The first one was the Alexis Ren collaboration called Bare Necessities, and the second one was the Colourpop Bretman Rock collaboration, the Ultra Satin Lip Nude shade. So generally I've noticed that it happens with like lighter nudes that they come out with, or anything that has a bit more of like a strong peachy undertone. It's an anomaly formula, but it does happen. So those are some of the worst ones I've tried from Colourpop. Just be careful with buying lighter peachy tone nudes. Right along with the No Filter foundation, the No Filter concealers. I hate these. They look so crusty on the under eyes. I have 2 shades because when the first one did not look good on me, I was like, oh, I think I have the wrong color. Then I bought a different shade and I was like, oh no, I just hate this formula. Big brain.
I'm telling you, I have the mind of a I have the mind of a mastermind. What's that?
The only thing I really use these for anymore is as eye primer. I think they actually do a great job for priming your eyelids for eyeshadow. So I did use this as my eye primer today, and I think it works great in that respect. That's probably how I'm going to use these up, but after that, will not be repurchasing the No Filter concealers. And then I don't have any more of these because they do have such a short shelf life. I've thrown away pretty much all of them because they have gotten dry and crumbly. But the Supernova Shadows, I love glittery toppers, as you can tell by my obsession with Super Shocks. I think those came out at the peak of when the Stila Glitter and Glows were super popular. Coincidentally, I also don't like the Stila Glitter and Glows. But the Supernova Shadows, they were a lot more affordable. Stila ones are $24, those are $7. They came out with some really beautiful shades, and I was very excited about them. So for the first like 2 months of owning those, I was like, these are the shit. They were glittery, they were beautiful, they applied just like the Stila ones. Around 2-3 months of owning them, they get really dry. They start getting crumbly, especially as you wear them throughout the day. They'll get really dry, kind of crumble off, and then rain glitter fallout all over your under eyes. At first I think I justified it because they were so much more affordable than the Stila ones. I was like, I don't mind if they do this because they're only $7. But it got to a point where I was like, this is not worth $7. As pretty as those shades are, I don't like having to deal with how not great the formula is. So I just kind of resolved to myself, no more buying Supernova Shadows, even though they are really pretty. They're not the best formula and they do end up not being worth it in the end. Alright guys, that is it for 5 best, 5 worst Colourpop, although it was not 5 best or 5 worst. 8 best, 6 worst Colourpop does not like roll off the tongue as nicely as 5 best, 5 worst does. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments down below what you want to see next. Make sure you are following me on Instagram to see makeup looks like this, posted whenever. I'm trying to be more frequent, so I think my resolution is going to be like every time Colourpop drops something new, post a makeup look. I think that's an attainable goal. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you get the bonus meme. Love you. Bye.